Hello Reapers, my name's Scythe, and I just want to give a big thank you to every single one of you folks, because seriously, we just hit 150,000 subscribers. That is one insane milestone, dude. Like, seriously, 100,000 ended up just absolutely exploding when Trove ended up launching on console, and it's been a bit of a slow or normal speed crawl from 100,000 subscribers up to 50,000, but still, it is something to be proud of, and I just really want to say thank you to every single one of you for actually making this possible. And before we end up getting into, the special idea that you probably already see in the title of the video, I just wanted to kind of reiterate the point of how grateful I am to every single one of you that makes it possible for me to do YouTube for a living. Because seriously, dude, like this, it means so much to me that I can play video games and actually, like, when I'm sitting and playing video games off camera, I can actually sit there and guilt-free just I'm researching, or maybe it's just me justifying it, but either way, like, I love my job. There was ups and downs throughout all of the YouTube stuff, just like there's just ups and downs in life. But as of right now, I feel that I'm in a really, really good place emotionally and personally, just because over the recent vlogs that I ended up having on the channel, I kind of ended up talking about how things were getting a little bit crazy for me. I was starting to get sucked into all the numbers of becoming a more popular channel and stuff. And then I kind of moved away from that all in one fell swoop and just started focusing on doing the videos that I wanted to do. And, it kind of hurt the channel a little bit for a while, but now I feel that the community that we've got going on here is stronger than ever. And I just wanted to say that I'm really, really appreciative of that. So a couple weeks ago, quite literally, it says 2 weeks ago, I ended up actually asking you guys to end up putting a bunch of comments on my community tab where I was going to collect questions essentially for a Q&A video that I was going to do at 150K. So it's been 2 weeks, we're at 150K, and without further ado, I'm going to be getting into a lot of questions here, some of them more serious, some of them of course funny. I'm going to try and have this video be most of all about answering as many questions as I can, rather than actually trying to make this like an entertaining, comedic, crazy video like I usually do when I do the comment reading videos and stuff like that. There's a lot of good questions that I get that I try to avoid in those videos just because of entertainment value. Whereas with this one, this is my thank you to all of you guys for making this possible. So I'm going to try and get into as many of these as possible, right? So of course, we're just going to be going in random order, just the way that YouTube orders them out here. So For Darkness says, "Hey Scythe, will you still continue playing Trove even till its death? I play Trove still because of YouTubers like you. You keep the game alive." Thank you very much for that one. I appreciate that. Yes, most definitely. I'm going to keep playing Trove. There's been a lot of controversy lately with PixArk coming out. If you haven't already seen some of my videos talking about it, there's a lot of hype within the Trove community and within my community that we have on YouTube in general for the PixArk game. And a lot of people keep worrying and also wondering, is Scythe going to quit Trove for PixArk? And it's like, no, why would I quit Trove for PixArk? Like, people have always wondered whether I'm going to quit this game. I've been playing Trove for 3 years, over 3 years, in fact. There's no reason I would quit. Because whether the game gets boring for me sometimes, which it doesn't really, or maybe sometimes I get in a mood where I'm just like very overly critical about a lot of the features and the development process of the game and stuff like that, the fact of the matter is that at the end of the day, I'm still playing the game and I still enjoy it for what it is, even if it is a broken mess. So Danny is the next question here. "I never see it on your console series, but I always seem to crash a lot on Trove with PS4. Has this happened to you also?" Yes, the crashing does just happen with Trove in general. A lot of the crashes that you end up getting on the PC version of Trove do end up coming over to the console version. And more recently, with some of the hot fixes that ended up going out, yes, it has been crashing for me a lot more often. Muffin69 Q&A. "I really enjoy Trove. It's one of my favorite games. But do you think this game will ever die? Because I don't want to waste my time on a game that's going to die soon." Now, you're already looking at it the wrong way. Every single game is going to die. We're going to die. Like, you can't really look at life that way and use that as an excuse to hold back. My mentality is enjoy the game while it lasts. Now, as far as Trove's lifespan is concerned, I think Trove is kind of at like its medium. I think it's just going to stay where it is. I don't think it's going to get particularly popular, but I don't think it's going to end up getting unpopular because of the fact that it does still advertise and is one of the only big MMO voxel games. Clippy Gamer, how many times do you poop a day? I mean, that's kind of a weird question. I'd say the average amount. Z Sky Z, if you could replace one of the class's names in Trove, which name would you switch and what will you switch it to? I'm not exactly sure what that question even means. I guess they're just talking about the class names in general in Trove, which I don't really care, honestly speaking. I don't like any of the names in Trove, you know, for the classes and stuff. I feel that the devs end up putting a little bit too much thought into it. Like the Vanguardian should just be called the Vanguard. Like why Vanguardian? It doesn't make sense to me and makes it less approachable and less marketable in my mind anyways. But hey, that's just me. I am bad at YouTube. Are you thinking about playing any other games on the channel? Yes, most definitely. I'm always looking at new games that are coming out and researching new games and stuff like that. And most of all, like when I mentioned earlier about how I've been kind of changing the way that I approach YouTube and kind of just been doing things the way that I enjoy them. With it, you know, normally I would be playing every indie game possible that I could, because more recently, because my channel is big enough now, I get a lot of indie games for free from developers and stuff like that. And because of it, I was trying to capitalize. I was trying to like, okay, this guy's actually asking me to play their game and they just gave me a free copy. I felt like I owed it to them to make a video on their game, right? But now that I've gotten so many indie game requests, I kind of get to pick and choose, and I'm starting to realize that I have to say no to a lot of these games and kind of focus on games and videos that I would enjoy doing and that I think you guys would enjoy actually watching, you know, even if a lot of times I'll end up putting out a video that not many people are into, at least I'm confident in that the few people that do watch the video are going to be entertained by it. So if you're asking more specifically about the games that I have planned, right now the only ones that I can confirm is PixArk coming in March, Sea of Thieves coming in March, and a whole lot more Trove if the Vanguard class ends up coming out in March as well. Games 101 just says 5th like. Yes, that's not really a question. RO Gamer, 3rd comment and 1st like. Yeah, okay. Which is your favorite dragon and class? I'm assuming he's talking about Trove. As far as the dragons are concerned, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of is like whichever one I feel like using at the time. Honestly, I don't really use the dragons that much. I guess the Dark Infinian dragon's a really good one. I used to like the Air Elemental dragon, but he's not really useful anymore outside of the fact that he's got those beautiful wings that he's got on him. But for the most part, a lot of the newer dragons are really, really cool. Blocktron I really like. I don't know, there's lots of dragons to choose and pick from, right? But otherwise, the Chinese New Year dragon, that guy has always been a favorite of mine just because I love serpent dragons, man, like seriously. And then he also asked which is my favorite class, which I guess I would say the gunslinger, but most of all, that's just out of necessity. When the Vanguard gets added to the game, that's going to be my new favorite character because seriously, I love the fist fighting thing that they got going on for that, like seriously. Merc also says, glad that you finally made it to 150K. He actually posted this 7 hours ago. My dude, you earned it. Here's to eventually 200,000 subscribers and onward, and then a big ree. Thank you very much for that one, Mark. Really appreciate it, buddy. Like seriously, that's another thing too. As I've been using the Discord and stuff like that, like I've ended up making a strong friendship and bond with a lot of like subscribers and fans that you know it just means so much to me that I can be hanging out with you guys and actually have so many people to play games with. Like it's so awesome. Like I really do love what I do. Tudor Boss Tan says, how old are you now? This is kind of a thing. I always make jokes about how old I am, but in reality, I'm 5,000 years old. I am a reptilian species. This is just a human facade that I end up having over my shell. The same person also asked, what's my real name? I guess they're trying to hack into my credit card account or something like that. No, more specifically, I think they're trying to ask what my real name is because a lot of YouTubers end up using a stage name. My real, actual legal name is Scythe. Canon Guy says, hey Scythe, I really enjoy your diverse gaming channel. Thank you for that. I would actually actually say it's very diverse, despite the fact that I still play Trove a lot of the times, right? But do you think of new ways to interact with your viewers on games like Roblox? Because it's hard to join you in-game, and that we could only follow and not friends. Yeah, I know, that's kind of a limitation of the game itself, though, not necessarily a limitation on what I can end up doing, right? But what I am going to plan on doing is probably end up picking up some private servers on certain games that most likely I'll end up sharing the link in videos, so that way we can all just end up joining through that link rather than specifically having to friend me up and everything like that, because the friends on Roblox only goes up to 200 and I can't be bothered to keep clearing the list over and over. But anyways, he goes on to say, what will you do to further improve the fan group on Roblox for us fans and viewers? Thank you very much. So what I want to do is add more designs, like store items and stuff like that, obviously, to give you guys some more like fan items in Roblox. But that requires me to actually take my personal time to learn how to design clothes, because the designer that we ended up having, his computer ended up exploding, and I don't know whether or not he's gonna end up coming back. But essentially, like, what I want to do is get more clothes and stuff like that on the Roblox store so that you guys can end up buying more of it, and then hopefully end up funding me buying private servers and stuff like that. Like, that's kind of why I have the donation shirts as well. Ghost says, do you think the developers should make dragons easier to obtain? I'm assuming he's talking about Trove. I do. I think that a lot of items in the game should be scaled more appropriately, considering that they keep on adding more and more items to the game. Like, the way that dragons used to be was fine being the way that it is now with 300 dragon coins, etc., etc. But for new players, it's just completely unapproachable, and they really should end up downsizing a lot of the resources that it costs to end up crafting all of the items and stuff. However, that said, it means that they would have to go through a whole lot of code to end up fixing something like that, rather than just from now on, they should just be a little bit more cautious about moving into the future, because as they add more dragons, it gets more and more difficult to keep up. Sniper Pro, is your hair real? JK lol trolled. Yup, you got me. Will Tato, hey Scythe, please, oh please, may I name your next wig? I don't know if I even plan on getting a next wig. I know I keep doing it as a joke where I say that I name them, but I don't actually have like a specific name for them or anything like that. But hey, whatever, go ahead, name the wig. Sure, we'll call it Bobber. Blazzy Dude asks, can you do another poll for us to choose if we want to be called something else than Reapers? I know you want something other than dudes and dudettes, but Reacher is cringy, and then he goes on to swear, so I'm going to have to try and edit that out. In either case, this is a very good topic of discussion here, because no, I'm not going to end up putting up a poll because Reapers is cringy. That's kind of the whole point. Now, this is what I meant when I said that the channel is going through a big transitional period right now, because I'm kind of embracing the fact that I'm a family-friendly channel, and because of it, I'm moving more towards things that teenagers and older people would actually consider cringe, in the fact that younger audience members think that it's hilarious. They love it, you know, and I'm a kid channel. Like, that's kind of what it is. Now, I still have my dry, sarcastic humor from time to time where I end up making fun of an in-game character or doing this or that. That is kind of a little bit more of an adult joke that a little kid wouldn't necessarily appreciate because it's kind of mean. But the fact of the matter is that I've been noticing in the community that a lot more younger audience members have actually been watching the videos and have actually really enjoyed and been very responsive to the whole Reapers thing that I've been saying for the fans. So I'm definitely going to end up keeping that. If it's something that you're not into, that's where, unfortunately, I'm just going to say you can end up moving on. You know, I'm never trying to force people to stick around with the channel. The channel is going to end up growing as I grow as a person. Another similar question asking if Trove is going to die soon, so we're going to skip over that. Captain Crow says, do you talk/have contact with the Trove devs? No, I do not in any way, shape, or form. I've tried to actually keep contact with them at some points, but no, it just doesn't really happen. They rarely ever end up replying back to me. Usually if something ends up going really wrong, I can end up reaching out to Fasty, who actually manages their Twitter account, and he's really good for responding. Also, the person that ends up giving out the streamer dream codes for the Trove creative program and stuff like that, he's really good. But otherwise, for random developers, no, I don't end up getting any contact from them. Nom Nom Creeper, will you do more Trove streams? Because you haven't done one lately. Yes, I actually did do one just the other day. today, or at least the other day as I'm recording this video. I know that I haven't been doing as many streams lately. I want to actually work on that. There's going to be another video that's going to come out very soon that's going to kind of explain why that's happened. But essentially, I've been upgrading not only to Windows 10, but I also took the opportunity to completely change my recording software and the method at which I record videos. And it's been a big process, but thankfully things seem to be getting more and more ironed out now. Nintendo Gamer, lol, I just got you to read this out loud. Yeah, you got me. Captain Crow, did you dye your eyebrows in the past? Black, I guess, because I did end up dyeing my hair black in the past, and, you know, with dyeing your hair black, obviously you have to dye your eyebrows and kind of go the whole way, because otherwise it just looks really weird. That said, for the first day, it looks, like, really strange when you have, like, black eyebrows, because all of the paint is, like, all over your face, so after, like, you end up showering, and the next day, then it ends up looking alright. Bleakbeat Gamer, Scythe, do you love your mama? Yeah, who doesn't, you freak? X-Ray Equinox, will you ever return to Trove on PS4? So this is, I'll just say I don't know. The console versions of Trove, honestly speaking, are very tedious for me, just because of the way that I have things set up with my computer and everything like that. When I want to play console games, I have to launch a side program that ends up taking a little while to end up turning on in the first place. I use the Elgato capture card, HD60, in order to end up recording my console videos and stuff like that, right? And then on top of that, just launching the console in general, and also just the ease of use. Like, I'm on the computer, I know how to use the computer. With the consoles, I don't really know how to manage the community or anything like that. I don't really know how to type to people very well, just because the wireless keyboard that I use is very laggy in Trove. And generally, I still do pop onto the console from time to time to see what's going on with the community. But I know and will acknowledge that I have been moving away from the consoles, and with all of the new stuff that's coming to Trove, I don't know if I'm going to end up not only having the time, but also just the patience to even go back to console. Because with console, it was most of all me playing with fans rather than actually progressing, but there's been a lot of call for new tutorials and new videos and stuff like that about all the new stuff that's been going on for Trove on PC, because my PC account has actually progressed to the end game. Lasco G says, I'm having a problem increasing my PR, power rank, and getting more powerful as a Lunar Lancer. At level 25, PR 1,900. How do I get my PR up? So most of all, you can just end up leveling up your gems, honestly speaking, and then also just focusing on gems that give you power rank rather than actually, you know, giving you good stats. Because what you're trying to essentially do for most of the characters, not necessarily for the Lunar Lancer, is get your PR high enough so that you can end up getting your Classroom ability, because that obviously is going to end up being a stellar and powered gem that's going to end up giving you a lot of power rank. And for all of the other characters, it's an ability that ends up improving the character, whereas with the Lunar Lancer, it just doesn't do anything. Like, that ability sucks. So generally, you know, I've got plenty of tutorials talking about how to get your PR up, so just look those up, dude. Raymond Vasquez, okay, I love you and your vids, and just wanted to say, how come you wear certain things on your head and don't like to take it off in your videos? I guess he's talking about the wigs. No one would like to watch some bold guy play games, and I thought you were wrong because you're beautiful. Okay, I don't really understand how he's asking this. I guess what he's trying to ask is why I use wigs in the first place. Most of all, it's got to do with, you know, I guess like a mascot thing, you know? Like, it's like when I end up putting the wigs on, it kind of separates me from other content creators, you know, not only just using the face cam and stuff like that, but if I'm bald, I'm like the default character in a video game. Like, I'm just generic dude, you know? And eventually, you know, when we go into the future, I'll probably end up getting rid of the wigs and stuff like that, but I kind of consider it like wearing a superhero cape. You know, like, it's funny how people consider the Reapers thing to be cringe, but me wearing wigs is not necessarily cringe. And it's like, to me, it's kind of the one and the same thing, where it's like, it's for the kids, you know, it's for entertainment. That's the whole thing. And that's why in these videos where it's more serious, I obviously take the wigs off, because it's just me hanging out with you guys, not playing a video game trying to make a video funny. Owen asks, what's the best strategy to do in general for free-to-play players in Trove? I guess you're talking about Flux. Maybe you're talking about progression, in which case I could go on and on about that one, buddy. But otherwise, I do have a video that I put out quite recently, actually, that's talking about how you make Flux as a free-to-play player. And I would recommend that you check that out, because otherwise, yeah, that's a little bit difficult to say if you're talking about just progressing in general. Now, on the console version, like on Xbox, I was able to get my candy barb to 5 KPR, get my class gym ability, and get to like level 24 or 25 or something like that. And I don't know, then it starts to really, really slow down, honestly, because that's just kind of how Trove is developed, where it's just got this big spike of slow progression up until you end up getting to like U9 and stuff, and then it's just easy, right? That's just kind of how the game is. Sirud Vadox says, can you add this comment to the video? Yup, it's here, buddy. Bear asks a really good, deep question here, saying, what do you think are your positive and negative traits? Ooh, that's actually a tough one. So I don't know if I necessarily would say that I have like positive or negative traits. As far as like a YouTube content creator, I know that I've got high energy. That's something that I've got over the vast majority of content creators. I do feel very confident in myself and my own personal abilities. A lot of that's got to do with just how I was raised. You know, I always had strong support from my family and stuff like that. And because of it, I just kind of expect it in the world. Like just, you know, not like expect positivity and support from other people, more so that I'm not looking for it or recognition from other people. I'm just kind of doing what I do and I enjoy it. Now, as far as negative traits, we're all flawed. We're not perfect. We're going to end up having problems, and who cares? That's the whole thing. You know, I guess I would say that my most positive trait is the fact that I just kind of have this whole who cares mentality towards it. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't care and I'm not genuine or passionate. It just is like, there's no reason for any like overthinking of things. You know, you just kind of go out and you just do it. Just live your life and forget about everything else. Sign Singe says, what's your dream class in Trove? And if you could make a whole different class with its own subclass, what would it be? You know, honestly speaking, dude, I actually really like the Vanguardian. Like, I think that he's actually a really cool character. A fist-fighting character is just perfect. The fact that it uses ranged as well. But as far as video games are concerned, I love me two-handed characters. I would love to see a towering character that wouldn't be able to even use mounts in the game, that would just swing his sword, kind of similar to the invaders that end up showing up. I think that would actually be really cool as a class in the game, honestly. As far as the subclass ability, I don't know, dude. I don't really think about that because most of the subclass abilities are useless. Vaughn Craig. Noise! Mad Tricks. Do you know DeWay? Hi from South Africa, of all places. Hello from Canada, dude. Necromancer GJ? Game Job? Something? I don't know. Do you remember Sky Saga, and are you going to play it when it comes out? Unfortunately, you must have missed the memo. That game has been canceled, dude. The Sky Saga game lost their publisher, meaning nobody is putting money towards that game being released. So unless they end up getting somebody else to do just that, the game's probably just going nowhere. I don't know why they don't even hop on Kickstarter or anything. But honestly speaking, the game was in like alpha for like 5 years or something like that. Like, just, they should have just had it as open beta and just released the game. And I don't know, the game itself was always a lot of fun, but it's like you would get to the end and then it would be it. Like, there'd not really be anything else to do. Emmanuel says, what's your favorite type of cheese? Honestly, dude, I just like all cheese. Like, seriously. Leon Hulk, you're the one that inspired me to play Trove Scythe. Please, can you help me on Xbox One? Again, that kind of refers to the other question that I just asked about like console and stuff. I don't actually have any items on the console version of Trove. I gave all of that stuff away and generally stopped accepting donations and stuff in the game in general because I wasn't trying to actually progress. I was just kind of hanging out with the fans and stuff like that. So unfortunately, that's going to be a no. What's your favorite class? Again, I guess I would say Gunslinger. How do you remove styles on Trove? P.S. I play on Xbox and loved your series. Thank you very much for that one. So if you want to actually hide one of your weapon or hat or face styles, you actually go into the category of the style section, and all the way down at the bottom of the list, I don't know why it's all the way at the bottom, there's going to be hidden, and then you just select the invisible face, hat, or weapon style. What would you do if you couldn't pay to win in Trove? Honestly speaking, it would be like the good old days of Trove where I didn't spend any money on it. You know, that's kind of the big advantage of what I do with, you know, being YouTuber and stuff like that, especially doing Trove and having it as the main game on the channel, is I don't bat an eyelash to being pay to win on Trove because of the fact that it means I can end up putting a video out that's going to help the vast majority, you know, and help everybody out in knowing, is this something that you should actually spend your money on? And that's kind of the whole thing, is I take that as the opportunity to do that because of the fact that not everybody else is making a living from playing video games, let alone playing you know, Trove in general. And because of it, it's like, what else am I gonna do? You know, that of course I'm going to end up investing in it. Hey Scythe, you should make a Trove Magic Find tutorial. You can use Magic Find to help you get Flux. Not necessarily. Like, Magic Find is just completely random, dude. Maybe you're just getting really lucky with those Flux items. Zachary Lane just left a whole bunch of comments. I'm not even sure if there's a question in there, though. Clutch says, how do you get Shadow Gonda? You can't. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't even seem like the developers are even giving those codes away. Maybe they did end up emailing people, you know, about the code and stuff like that, but it's definitely not in game as of right now. Yabaki, the Shadow Gonda, is actually in the collections tab, which is cool, but who knows when it's going to actually appear in the game. When it does, obviously, I'll make a tutorial about it. Luke says, when will PixArk be released? PixArk, he means. Will you transfer to PixArk or stick with Trove? Dude, I'm gonna do both. That's the whole thing. Like, kind of what I answered earlier, where lots of people keep thinking that I'm going to quit Trove for PixArk. No, why would I end up quitting an already good voxel game for another great voxel game? It's just gonna be another game that I'm gonna have on the channel, so we'll get to see, like, 2 different games. Amron, will you play an FPS? Well, that's where Sea of Thieves and PixArk is going to come into play. Mr. Merlin, your honest opinion about PixArk. Dude, I love Ark. It's an amazing game, and PixArk topples that by being cute, cartoonish graphics, voxel graphics, which is my all-time favorite in video games, and then also just the fact that you can build things one block at a time, meaning that it's going to have that level of customization for building bases and building houses and stuff like that that was not actually present in Ark. Like, I'm really, really excited for PixArk, and you know, maybe the developers are onto something here and they know how awesome the game is going to be, or they have no idea. Like, one of the things that I keep saying is it's surprising, actually surprising, that only now we're actually starting to see some AAA companies make voxel games. Because up to this point, it's like, why were the only people making these games indie companies? Why did big time AAA companies think, what? That's stupid. It's just a bunch of cubes. Like, it's like, dude, it sells. And beyond that, it's awesome because you get to completely customize the terrain and the world. Kai says, what has been your least favorite boss fight in any video game? Ooh, that's a tough one. Maybe I would say Dark Souls, just because a lot of those boss fights actually kept me from progressing in the game. Like, there's the one of the first boss fights that you do in Dark Souls 1 was against a gargoyle, and I think it's like after you end up damaging it enough, a second gargoyle shows up, and it's just like, I don't know, it wasn't fun. That's the only one that I can think of in recent memory, though. Spidey says, have you ever thought about playing games like Destiny 2 or Overwatch? I had an Overwatch series, look it up on the channel, and I had a Destiny 2 video, thought about doing a series. The game is extremely expensive for me in Canada, and honestly speaking, it's not really a game that I think would be popular on the channel, so I'm not really interested. Just a Random Guy 101, do you still enjoy playing Trove as much as you did when it first came out? I would say yes, but it's kind of a different level of enjoyment. Like, I enjoy the fact that I know so much about the game and that I've been doing it for such a long time, but there is that naive innocence that is gone from the game now, where I just kind of know when they talk about new things coming to the game, where it's like, oh, is this going to be good? This going to be bad? How is this going to be executed and stuff like that? It's kind of a more methodical approach to the game rather than back in the day where I was just playing it and was just like, whoa, this is like Cube World, but better, right? That said, I still absolutely love it. My question is, what do you think is the best stuff to buy from the cash shop in Trove? I don't know, dude. Honestly, credit pouches, because if you end up selling credit pouches, you're going to end up earning a lot of flux and being able to buy a lot more items than it would be possible to end up actually getting out of the cash shop. Can you start a series on PS4 or do more giveaways on PS4? I had a series on PS4. Again, this already was answered in a previous question. If you can get back all the money you spent on Trove, but you will lose your account, you'll do it? No, obviously not. I don't regret putting all the money that I did into that game. What do you expect from the new class, and would the devs add a new weapon type with it? Yes, there's already a new weapon type. I don't know why this is so confusing for so many people, but yes, indeed, there's going to be the new fist weapon. That's kind of what we're really hyped about. As far as what I'm expecting from the new character, honestly, I'm not sure yet whether or not it's going to end up actually topping the Gunslinger. I'm expecting it to be fun. That's it. Epic Destroyer, do you shave your legs? Actually, yes, I do. This is a really weird question, and I probably sound like a freak for saying so, but there's something about my own body hair that I can't stand it. It just really, really bothers me, dude. It's weird. Hey, Scythe, when PixArk comes out, will you do a playthrough of it? I'm going to do a lot more than a playthrough of it, dude. Probably when the game comes out, I'm going to have a single-player series while I wait for the website that I usually end up using for my Ark servers. I'm going to wait before they end up getting PixArk on their website, and then I'm going to have a multiplayer series as well. Maybe even have both of those as separate series going on at the same time, if not kind of progressing single-player first and then going to the multiplayer. Because what I want to do is go through the single-player, get my bearings, understand the game, maybe even beat the first boss, or even just have a single player world. We'll see what happens. And then get tutorials out, because a lot of the game is probably going to end up being very confusing to new players, and I still do think that I can benefit from instructing people how they actually do things in the game, just because personally, I really enjoy the way that I present my tutorials, and I feel that I explain things in a way that lots of people can understand that most other YouTubers kind of ignore. Why do you not like mobile games? Because I don't really have a good phone. Like, seriously, I have a Nexus 5 right here, and it's just, I don't know, like, who cares? Also, if you're talking about me recording mobile games, that's like a whole other issue altogether. Have you ever thought Trove will ever get taken over by another game, aka Trove will die and you will still be playing it, or something like that, I guess? Kind of similar to that PixArk question. I'm still going to keep playing Trove even if it dies. Even if PixArk ends up becoming the more popular series on the channel in the long run, which I think it potentially could. Heck, even Roblox could become more popular on the channel because it's got a lot more of a community than Trove does, and I think that PixArk is going to be developed in a much funner way that people are going to be able to appreciate. But that doesn't mean that I'm ever going to quit Trove. Even if Trove would end up sometime becoming the least popular series on the channel, I'm never going to quit it, dude. Like, it's just a part of my life. When will you do a meet and greet? Honestly speaking, dude, I don't know, because for me, where I live right now is very secluded in Canada. Not to mention I'm in Canada. Maybe I'll end up doing like a meet and greet sometime in like, I don't know, Vancouver or like Seattle, or go to like a convention or something like that in E3 or something. Maybe then, but even so, those events are very, very costly, and I know that the majority of my viewers are kids, so if they're going to the event, hey, maybe I'll meet them. Sure, I'm always down for meeting fans. It's just not something that's most likely going to happen for a very long time. Will you collab with your friend, not another YouTuber? Does he mean my real-life brother, in which case, you know, most of all, he's really busy is why we don't really collab together anymore. If he's talking about some of the other people that I talk to in the Discord, most of them are YouTubers, not really, like, you know, Joe's the only one that kind of stays consistent. Merc as well, but it takes a long time for him to edit his videos and stuff like that. And, you know, again, to the PixArk thing, as well as Sea of Thieves, that's going to be another game where I'm probably going to end up playing it with one or a couple of those guys, and I guess you consider that a collab. Like, with Sea of Thieves specifically, I'm going to probably be recording it multiplayer exclusive. Will PixArk be a main series like Trove, and is it free? Yes, it'll be a main series. No, it's not free. Can you make a video of how to make Flux when the March update comes out? If anything changes, yeah, but if nothing changes to the core game, I'm just going to keep the Flux tutorial I recently put out. Another person asking about Trove's lifespan. Another person asking about getting higher power rank. I'm going to generally start skipping through the duplication questions here, though, guys. Do you consider Papa John's to be the best pizza in the world, earning the title Papa Bless? The people want to know. He considers himself people. I guess he's a multi-translucent being, but no, I don't even know what Papa John's is. I've never had that pizza, so I can't judge whether or not it's good or not. I like Domino's and I like Pizza Hut. Will you do a giveaway? Yeah, usually I'll do giveaways in live streams and stuff, but for the most part, a lot of the items in Trove aren't tradable anymore, and that's why I stay away from the giveaways. Hey Scythe, can you try out Jailbreak or Miner's Haven for a series? Now, Speaking of Miner's Haven, let's move on from that one and talk about the sand digging simulator. Maybe I'll do a couple live streams of that since snow shoveling simulator is absolutely dead. Jailbreak, I did have a series on. I just generally didn't find it to be particularly popular for some reason, so I kind of moved on to doing like sword bursts and stuff like that. But I know that I haven't had Roblox consistently on the channel recently, and I'm sorry about that. What caused you to get into Trove? Now, I mean, honestly speaking, dude, it's kind of a funny story. I just ended up seeing a Humble Bundle once, saw this random voxel game that looked like Cube World to me, grabbed it, like grabbed the bundle, started playing it. I did that first look video, which was my very first Trove video, and I just kind of kept playing it and then decided to do a series, and hey, now I've been playing it for over 3 years. Where do you see yourself after 10 years? I mean, I'm still going to be doing YouTube, that's for sure, but hopefully we'll be able to get to the point where I can do meet and greets and maybe actually be able to hire an editor. Would you ever consider being in a band again? No. I thought about it kind of when YouTube was a bit more of a side project for me. I did think about kind of just being like a front man because I didn't really want to be able to manage like an instrument and stuff, and I can sing fairly decently. My vocals are actually a lot stronger than they've ever been just because of constant commentating now, and I can still hit notes, man. But then, you know, YouTube is just like my life, dude. Like, I absolutely love every aspect of it outside of I wish I had an editor so that I could just record. That said, it's not like I don't like editing. It just takes a lot more time than, you know, like right now, I'm recording this video. If I had an editor, they could be editing other videos while I'm recording this one. That's kind of my point. To answer your question though, no, I don't see myself joining a band anytime soon. The drop rates for the Starfire, Dragon Egg, Fragments, and Trove are terrible. What's your opinion on the drop rates? They're bad. The developers don't realize how bad they are. That's kind of the thing. I've talked about this in every video where I've talked about like the Dragon Egg Fragments in general that actually drop from enemies. What the developers don't realize is there's Dragon Egg Fragments you can get from sunlight bulbs, for example. You knock down and destroy hundreds of sunlight bulbs per sunflower dungeon, as opposed to Starfire Dragon Egg Fragments. You kill maybe 5 or 10 enemies in a shadow tower that are like an elite mob that can even drop the fragment in the first place. If it's an Everdark enemy, it's not going to drop the fragment. Therein lies the problem. The developers don't seem to be making that distinction between hundreds of things that can potentially give the fragments or 10 things that can give the fragment. Another question about PixArk, but most of all asking why there has been no more giveaways on the channel. Most of that, all that has to do with the fact that I haven't really been able to do any Let's Play videos lately, at least for Trove and stuff like that. Most of all, it's just tutorials or live streams and stuff like that. And I know that I'm pretty bad for not doing any giveaways and stuff like that, but I don't know. I mean, most of all, I ran out of items to give away. That's the real bottom line. Do you plan on playing the other Uncharted games? I loved your series on the Force one. Thank you so much for that one. I actually really enjoyed it as well, but no, I don't actually plan to. There was actually the new Uncharted game that ended up coming out, which I thought I was going to do a Let's Play series on, but I don't know, I didn't do it. Why you so goth? I don't really consider myself goth. I mean, I'm naturally like really pasty white skin because I got Irish in my blood, if that's what you mean. But otherwise, as far as like the style of like painting my nails and, you know, I used to do eyeliner anyways, but this is just tattoos now. Generally, it's just a style that I really like. Personally, I don't really get along very well with people that are either like emo or edgy style or like goth style and stuff like that, because I find that a lot of those people are kind of doing it to either get noticed or because they have something to prove, whereas I'm like the odd one out where I'm just doing it because I enjoy it, and I'm like a stable, normal human being that is just like a normal, cool dude that just happens to really be into this style, you know? I see Plays says, what made you start YouTube? Which is a good question here. So it's been a while since I ended up talking about this. So let me get myself a little bit loosened up here. What essentially ended up happening was I was watching people do Let's Plays for years. You know, it was already a thing before I started doing YouTube. And I think I started in like November 2011 or something like that. I don't know, it's on my About section on my channel. But in either case, I watched enough people playing videos. Most of all, it was B00-100 and Etho and a lot of the people that were on the Minecraft server, actually. So Good and even Generic B and everything like that, right? And I kept track of all of these guys. And most of all, B00-100 ended up being my big inspiration for YouTube because I felt that in a lot of ways I was very similar to him. Outside of the fact that I'm kind of more higher energy or more tense energy, I guess you could say, arguably. And with it, one day it just kind of hit me where it's like, I kept thinking about like, wait a minute, why don't I just do this? Or, if I was doing this video, here's what I would have done. And it would have been funnier, and stuff like that. Not necessarily judgments towards the people that were doing Let's Plays. More so, it was just the idea started to burn inside me about why don't I just do this myself? And eventually it ended up hitting me where it's like, yes, why don't I just do YouTube myself and do my own videos? And hey, I just started doing it because I've always been that type of person. No excuses. You just do it. Because if you're going to sit there and you're going to procrastinate, then it's not going to happen and it's not something that you're meant to do. Because otherwise, I just go out there and just go for it, right? So immediately, I just started recording Far Cry 4. That was the big game at the time. That series has since been completely unlisted on my channel and privatized because I swore my head off in my earlier videos. That was well before I started realizing that I wanted to be a family-friendly channel, because after a while, I started to realize, like, man, in that series, I was swearing for comedic effect, and then already at the same time, I had a Turok 2 series, and when I ended up getting to the later episodes in that series, I already stopped swearing, but I kept swearing in the Far Cry series because it was for comedic effect. And a lot of those videos, despite the fact that they're old, still are pretty funny today, outside of the fact that none of you guys are gonna see them, right? But in either case, then I just kind of decided, like, there's too much swearing out there on the internet, there's too many people that are using this negative style of humor that I kind of wanted to bring my own personal twist to things, where I just made things more in a positive light and kind of focused on making videos that would cheer people up rather than get them depressed. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? It's just, the rest is history. As far as YouTube being my career, though, that took a long time. Like, I'm very, very slow to progress as far as a YouTube channel is concerned. So many other channels just shoot right up to the top, and then they're already like really, really big out there and stuff. I think a lot of that's got to do with them knowing how to use the analytics and do proper clickbait and stuff like that. But I kind of more recently moved away from a lot of the clickbait and just kind of started focusing on making good videos. And yeah, it ended up hurting my channel a bit, but I'm happier for it, and I'm still making a full-time living from my videos. Most of all, what ended up happening was, when consoles ended up releasing Trove, my channel just absolutely exploded, and since then, I've been fortunate enough to be making the equivalent of a full-time job out here in Canada, because otherwise, up until that point, I was making a decent living, but it wasn't going to be able to pay my rent, you know what I mean? Why did you turn into a Trove YouTuber? I didn't turn into a Trove YouTuber. I started playing Trove and YouTube just ended up working out with it. What's your favorite game that you haven't done on the channel? Well, actually, I've done all of my favorite games. Originally, the big reason why I started doing YouTube in the first place was I wanted to replay these older games. Turok 2, for example, was like my all-time favorite game from my childhood, and I've already had like 3 or 4 Let's Play series on that game alone. How cool are you? 10 out of 10. 11,000. And will you do Overwatch on the channel? I already did and don't plan on going back to it. What is life beyond the hamster cage? Can I get a oh yeah? Yeah, you just did. Why do I spawn in a random club world when I type /join world Uggles Squid on PS4? I don't know. Maybe you're on like the European server rather than the North American one, because with Trove, the North American and European servers are actually split. That's got to do with PlayStation Network, not with Trove. Why did you and Scarlett break up? I mean, that's a bit more of a personal question, which I try to avoid those types of questions for the most part, but I know a lot of people were really concerned about it just because of what ended up happening. Ultimately, it was just that we kind of realized that we weren't really meant for each other, like we were together for about like 5 or 6 years and things were pretty good, and I started incorporating her into some of the videos, but eventually it was just like, man, this isn't working out, we're not happy together, so let's just move on. And honestly, it's the best thing that ended up ever happening to me, because as of right now, I'm with Mariko, and we've been dating for like almost 6 months now, and it's just like time is just flying with this girl. Like, I'm having such a good time. We're just laughing all the time. She's laughing all the time, which, I mean, I like making her laugh, I guess I'll say. And it's just like, man, I'd forgotten that a relationship was supposed to be easy, I guess is what I would say. How do you get Hearts of Darkness? You get them from the Shadow Cache chest that you buy with Shadow Shards. Will you ever do a stream solo in U9 with Gunslinger? I've already done plenty. Gunda or Uganda? Hamburger or hot dogs? Both. Do you plan on starting a new series with Trove? No, other YouTubers have already done it. I don't care. I think that would be absolutely boring. I don't mean any disrespect to you wanting that, Louise, but for myself personally, that would just be so boring to start from square one. Like, I have no interest in it. Will PixArk be on PS4? Yes, as well as Nintendo Switch. I love this game and want new content according to your vids. There are new updates. Is that really all they have planned for 2018? What? Is he talking about Trove? I guess he is, most of all just about the things that we've been talking about in the recent dev stream highlight videos, in which case, no, they have a lot more planned for 2018. They're just not talking about most of it because it's way at the end of 2018. Question about Trove. Do you ever want them to add a Reaper class that would actually use a scythe? Yes, I actually do think that would be really, really cool. Not only just because of what we got going on with the channel and everything, but I do think that would actually be a very appropriate class for Trove. Maybe kind of doing like spinning attacks and kind of combos and stuff like Devil May Cry character or something. What do you do on Trove in your free time? Grind. I just grind. All of the stuff that you end up seeing in videos had to be gotten some way, shape, or form. Why do you play Trove instead of other RPG games, and what's the most interesting and attractive part of Trove? I'm not playing Trove for any other reason than I just enjoy it. Like, Black Desert Online is actually a fantastic MMO, but there's just something about it where I tried and was never really able to get into it. With Trove, I feel that the game is so simple that it's very, very approachable. Despite the fact that developers keep trying to make it complicated, they just keep failing at it, which is like the best thing that could happen with that game. Like, I love the fact that everything about it is so simple. Maybe it's done on purpose, but generally speaking, you'll see their patch notes or see stuff that comes out with the Shadow Towers, and you know they're trying to make the game complex when it's not. And as far as what I have as a personal attraction to the game, most of all, the combat. I would still argue that Trove has one of the best combat systems in any RPG, despite the fact that, or not any RPG, but any MMO. You know, despite the fact that it's very laggy and kind of broken in a lot of ways, if it was functioning at 100% capacity and they ended up introducing new enemy types that would end up being like, oh, there's a red enemy you gotta shoot to explode and cause damage to the other enemies, thus having ranged characters serve a purpose of trying to target certain specific enemies. If they had all of that stuff, that would be amazing. Like, kind of add Borderlands aspects to Trove, because otherwise the combat is already like that, which I really, really enjoy. What do you think about the Ark feature update with the 3 phases? I guess he's talking about how there's going to be the 3rd downloadable content, which is going to be a whole new map. Honestly speaking, dude, as of right now, I'm really just interested in PixArk. I could care less about Ark. Like, I still think that that's a fantastic game, but if PixArk starts adding more content right away, like I think they're going to, I don't think that I'm going to end up even having time to go back to Ark, let alone be interested in it because of the fact that we've already got PixArk. Now, that said, maybe I'll do a mini-series on the new map or just talk about it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to commit the amount of time that I did to the Aberration map. Why don't you play Overwatch again? This is going to be a really strange question, or a really strange answer. I find it really boring. I'm sorry, there's just something about it. It's not a game for me. It just kind of like the whole competitive aspect is way too try-hard for me, and in a lot of ways I feel that it's very frustrating. Like, I like when you're just playing the game and kind of messing around, or just playing casually with a bunch of people where it's like you might see somebody dance in front of the exit, or like in the enemy base or something like that, and rather than the enemy just freak out and try to kill you as soon as possible, maybe they start dancing too, you know? And that aspect of the game ended up going away as the game got more popular and a lot more try-hard with the competitive mode. And that's kind of why I ended up moving away from it. And honestly, I just don't really care. What's your view on Trove and the direction the developers are taking it down the route of quantity over quality? Would you prefer to see more content or just a big massive bug fix, even if it would take a few months? Yes, I've talked about this many times before, but I do think that if it would take a couple months, they should iron out the rest of the game, make it fully fleshed out, so that from that point on, they could develop new content with all of those bugs out of the way. That said, a lot of the issues with Trove is the fact that the game was designed on a very, very old game engine. And, you know, until we end up seeing Trove 2 get released on like the Unreal Engine, these bugs are always going to be a problem. In which case, it's always going to be a problem because Trove 2 doesn't exist, nor will it ever. I read your post about comments and blah, 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 blah. Play Terraria again. I know I'm going to play Terraria again. I keep saying and promising that I'm going to do that. I actually more recently did a Subnautica episode that potentially could have turned into a Let's Play series, but the fact that I haven't actually been playing that game anymore since I ended up upgrading to Windows 10 says to me that it's a game that I personally am probably not interested in, because if I was going to be playing Subnautica or Terraria, because they're both kind of the same in the fact that you're gathering resources and stuff like that, they're not really the same game in any way, shape, or form, but you know what I mean, right? I'm going to start the Terraria series pretty soon, maybe within the next couple weeks if I have the time. But otherwise, as of right now, I got my hands full with Trove and all the new stuff coming out with that. The new class most likely is coming out in March. PixArk's coming out. Sea of Thieves is coming out. And top that with still trying to have Warframe and Roblox be consistent on the channel and all of the indie games that I have to cover. And suddenly you start seeing that's why I'm so busy. If you could make your own game, what would it be like? Fun fact, I actually do plan to make my own game if I'm ever fortunate enough to make enough money off of doing this whole YouTube thing. But most of all, I would be the idea man rather than being the person that actually puts any development into the game, because I don't know how to develop games. I guess I would just be like the producer or designer or something, or not designer, but you know what I mean, like the lead dev or something. I don't know. What's the genre and some core game mechanics? I actually, for years, have been writing down different mechanics that I think would be, you know, good for a video game. Most of all, just because I'm a gamer and I would like to make a game for gamers. It would be an open world RPG. Most likely it would be a single player game, and then there would be a separate game that would maybe be like a voxel PvP game where it would be like a big open world city like Grand Theft Auto, where each of the rounds would end up being maybe like a set amount of time, and you could just slowly see the whole city getting more and more destroyed. Of course, I don't know if the technology is up to it at that point, but I just think that could be really cool to be playing on a server with like maybe 50 or 100 people just going nuts in Grand Theft Auto, but with voxels, right? What's your favorite TV show? I don't really watch TV. I don't have cable, but I have been watching videos on Netflix because my girlfriend Mariko actually does have Netflix. And I just got through the Breaking Bad series, which I thought was actually really, really well done. And then I started kind of watching a couple other TV shows that are okay, but for the most part, I don't really like TV, honestly speaking. I've never watched The Walking Dead, and I don't really care for how TV drags things out for the sake of views, rather than, you know, just with a movie where it's just, oh, it's just start, middle, end, and that's it, right? How come you can't grow out your hair? Honestly, I prefer being bald, but the real bottom line is that I have been attacked with genetics, because now it's at the point where I can't really grow hair. It like comes out all weird and patchy and stuff. I actually used to have really, really long, beautiful hair back in the day, if I do say so anyways, but I don't know. I just kind of accept the fact that I just shave my head and I'm just staying bald, and who cares? Why do you wear nail polish? Because I like it. Similar to what I said earlier, is PixArk a Arc ripoff? No, it's being made by the same developers. What do you think is the appropriate cost of PixArk, and will it be on Xbox One? Yes, it's coming out on Steam and Xbox One in March, PS4 and Nintendo Switch at a later date, and I would say that the price is going to be somewhere around 20 to 30 American dollars. If they were to make a Trove sequel, what would you want them to change? First of all, I want it to be on a new engine so that they could add dynamic lighting. Not necessarily darkness. I hate that when they put dynamic lighting into a game and it's just pitch black at night. But generally, I would actually like the same game, just developed a little bit smarter. Do you plan on making a channel for audiences mature 13 and up? No. Why would I do that? Does Dan TDM have a separate channel that he does for mature audiences? I don't think so. And if he does, I don't care. I already have a hard enough time trying to manage one channel, let alone two. It would just be so inconsistent and weird. What got you to start wearing your wigs? Honestly, again, it was just because of the fact of being a mascot character. I thought it would make me step out from the crowd, you know what I mean? Will you ever play Minecraft? No, I don't really plan to. I've tried it on the channel before, and though I grew up watching other Minecrafters on YouTube and stuff, personally speaking, I'm not really into playing it myself. That's why I started playing Trove. If Trove added an ally and mount based on you, what would you want them to be named, and which type of mount would you want it to be as far as the movement is concerned? A human being just rolling on the ground like an idiot, most likely. But if you're talking about me adding a custom mount to the game, I would love to see like a giant bird that you could be on that would actually have like good animations, not necessarily like the golden butterfly that we saw recently. It would actually be slower, more melodic, like a bird type of thing. I would also like to see a Hydra mount that actually would have multiple heads, and I would like to see a dragon mount that would just be a weird, grotesque human being. Where do you see Trove in 2 years? Probably the same that it is right now, honestly. I don't know if they can add anything more than just grinding. Hopefully U10 will be out by then, and hopefully it'll be something cool. If you could have picked any other game to start YouTube with, what would you have selected, or would it still be Trove? I didn't start YouTube with Trove. How moist are your toes? Well, if I'm standing in a really, really high place, my toes start perspiring and getting really, really slippery. It's like slimy frog feet. That's got to do with my reptilian ancestry. Why don't you show Jub Jub more often? Because she's over on the couch behind me right now, and I don't want to wake her up because she's so sweet. Also, it's just got to do with this camera. You know, she'll often be sitting on my lap when I'm doing videos and stuff, and what can I say? Now she's invisible. You can't see her on the camera anymore, right? Scythe, can you continue making your fans smile whenever you post a video? Because I always smile whenever you upload. That's actually a really cute comment. What was the inspiration for your name? Again, my name is Scythe. Like, that's just my name, man. Will you ever play Spiral Knights again? Nope, I have absolutely no plans of returning back to that. How much longer do you think you can keep playing Trove into the foreseeable future? And that's already it for all the questions, everybody. There's a couple that ended up getting grabbed by the spam bot and everything like that. But this video is over an hour long. I hope that it has been something that you enjoyed and can appreciate, because it's going to take me a couple days before I can end up actually getting this up on the channel, you know, and it's not necessarily going to be 100% relevant to being at 150k subs. But seriously, I'm really, really appreciative to every single one of you. I got to take a little bit of a break now, though, get myself some water, get myself some food, and edit a whole bunch of videos and stuff to get out to you guys. But either way, yeah, you can be really excited about all the new Trove stuff coming out. PixArk's going to be a main series on the channel. Sea of Thieves, I'm going to play as often as I can. That's probably going to be a series as common as Warframe. PixArk most likely is going to be like more front and center alongside Trove. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just really enjoying where things are at right now. And then otherwise, life is just moving like at a crazy speed, dude. Like even now, what is it, in March, my girlfriend's actually going to be moving in with me. So that's going to be a very big life change for both of us. Not to mention just trying to manage all the YouTube stuff while adjusting to that. It's going to be like really, really cool and exciting though, you know. It's kind of got me nervous in an exciting way, if that even makes any sense. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of clue you all in to do a video that was longer and didn't really focus that much on taking, you know, cuts and everything like that. That said, I'm going to have to put a lot of editing effort into this video, so it is going to end up taking me a long time to get this video out to all of you. Hopefully I can have it out by the end of the week and not too late. But in either case, thank you, as always, for watching, everybody. I very much appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily content. That's also going to build up loyalty points on my merch store. Links are in the description for that. And for the fans that want to donate to me, you can donate for absolutely free with Gawkbox. Links are in the description explaining that as well. Sayonara, and stay epic, Reapers.